Have you ever dreamed of a life where your past no longer dictates your present? Where you're no longer haunted by memories that replay themselves without warning? Where your heart doesn't clench at familiar words or gestures, where you don't wake up already bracing for another day of pain you can't quite name? Have you imagined what it would feel like to move through life without the constant sense of waiting for the next disappointment, the next betrayal, the next reminder that safety feels like a myth? Because if you have, you're not alone. Millions walk through life carrying wounds that no one sees. They smile, laugh, and show up every day, but inside they're exhausted because every interaction, every silence, every shift in someone's tone feels like it could unravel them. And this isn't weakness. It's the burden of trauma, the invisible scars left behind when what was supposed to be safe became dangerous. When love turned into pain, when you were hurt by people you trusted or by a world that was too cruel too soon. And here's the cruel irony. The more you try to hide your pain, the more power it has over you. The more you tell yourself to just get over it, to toughen up, to pretend it never happened, the more your trauma weaves itself into every corner of your life. Because trauma isn't just a memory, it's a pattern. It's a set of unconscious beliefs and reactions that whisper, "You're not safe, you're not worthy, you're not enough." Carl Jung saw this with piercing clarity. He knew that the wounds we refuse to face don't simply disappear, they shape who we become. He taught that unprocessed pain creates a prison inside us, one where the same fears, patterns, and insecurities repeat endlessly until we finally have the courage to look inward. You may think your pain comes from what people do to you today, their words, their indifference, their betrayals. But the truth is, the deepest pain comes from what those moments awaken inside you. The old wounds you've carried for years or decades. The sense of abandonment that taught you to chase approval at any cost. The shame that convinced you you'd never be good enough. The terror of vulnerability that tells you it's safer to hide than to risk being hurt again. Every time you flinch at a harsh word, every time you sabotage something good, every time you feel paralyzed by fear, even when nothing dangerous is happening, that is your past reaching into your present. And as long as you believe the solution lies in controlling the outside world, making everyone kinder, more careful, more consistent, you will remain chained to those old wounds, because the world will never fully conform to your need for safety. The only path to freedom is learning to face the places inside you that still ache. But that doesn't mean you should blame yourself for your pain. Healing isn't about self-blame. It's about self-understanding. It's about realizing that your reactions are not failures. They are your nervous system trying to protect you with patterns that once kept you alive. And those patterns deserve compassion, not condemnation. Because they were born in moments of terror. Moments when you were too young or too powerless to protect yourself any other way. Still, compassion alone is not enough. Healing requires courage, the courage to feel what you've spent years avoiding. The courage to revisit old memories, not to relive them, but to release them. The courage to grieve what you never received, what was taken from you, what you had to sacrifice just to survive. Because grief is the gateway to freedom. It's the process of honoring your wounds so they can finally close instead of festering unseen. Jung taught that every step you take into your own darkness brings you closer to your light, that each piece of your pain you integrate becomes a source of wisdom, empathy, and strength. But he also warned that this journey will break every illusion you hold about yourself. You will see how much of your life has been shaped by fear. How many relationships were rooted not in love, but in need. How many choices were made not from freedom, but from desperation to avoid being hurt again. And this realization can feel devastating. It can feel like you're losing everything you thought you were. But in reality, you're only losing what was never truly you. The masks, the pretenses, the stories you told yourself to keep the peace, to win love, to stay safe. And in that loss, you will find the raw, unvarnished truth of who you are. Many will never dare to walk this path. They will keep numbing themselves with busyness, distractions, addictions, or shallow relationships. They will tell themselves they're fine, that the past doesn't matter, that they're above it all. But underneath the surface, they will keep bleeding. They will keep repeating the same patterns, hurting themselves and others, wondering why nothing ever changes. But you, if you've come this far, if you feel something stirring inside you as you hear these words, you are ready. Ready to stop running. Ready to start listening to what your pain has been trying to teach you. Ready to sit with your discomfort long enough to hear the quiet voice beneath the fear, the voice that whispers you were never broken, only burdened. This journey doesn't ask you to become cold or indifferent. It asks you to become whole. It asks you to integrate every part of you, the fearful child, the angry protector, the wounded survivor, so that nothing inside you needs to sabotage your joy to keep you safe. When you do this, you stop living as a collection of defensive strategies and start living as a single, unified self. This is what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming conscious of every part of you, so that no single wound or fear can dominate your life. He taught that true freedom isn't avoiding pain, but no longer being ruled by it. It's not about building higher walls, but about knowing yourself so deeply that no external event can shatter your sense of who you are. Because when you know your own wounds, no one else can use them against you. When you accept your own flaws, no insult can make you doubt your worth. When you honor your own story, no rejection can erase your value. And when you learn to sit with your own pain, you become someone who can walk through the world with compassion for yourself and for others. This doesn't mean life will stop testing you. It doesn't mean you'll never feel afraid or hurt again. But it means that each time pain comes, you will recognize it as a messenger, not a master. You will see every challenge as an invitation to grow deeper, to love yourself more fiercely, to stand more firmly in your truth. And yes, the world may not understand you. People who still live on the surface may call you too intense, too sensitive, too much. But don't let that stop you. Because every step you take toward integration is a step away from the life of quiet desperation so many accept. It is a step toward a life of wholeness, where peace is not the absence of pain, but the presence of profound self-awareness. So if you're ready, don't look for shortcuts. Don't settle for half-truths. Commit to this journey fully. Meet your fears with curiosity. Meet your grief with compassion. Meet your anger with honesty. And meet every part of yourself with the unconditional love you always deserved. Because in the end, true healing is not becoming someone who never feels pain. It's becoming someone who no longer fears pain. Someone who can feel it fully, learn from it deeply, and move forward with a heart that remains open, no matter how many times it has been hurt. That is what it means to be truly untouchable. That is what it means to finally come home to yourself.